The body of a whale, the nose of an elephant. It's a giant among seals, an elephant seal, weighing in at 3 tons. Elephant seals can be ferocious or funny, and until recently, not much more was known about them. But we are learning a great deal from these elephant seals at Año Nuevo State Reserve on the coast of California. Here on the beach, the elephant seals practice a certain lifestyle. They're social, talkative, and incredibly, they go for weeks without eating or drinking. But once at sea, they are silent and solitary, feeding in deep, dark waters for months at a time. And we now know that they can dive to more than 5,000 feet, a mile beneath the sea. Our story follows the adventures of a pup on its way to becoming the greatest diver in the ocean.
Nature is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by viewers like you, your gas company, and America's natural gas industry, developing new ways to use clean gas energy to generate electricity and fuel vehicles to help meet America's goal for cleaner air. Siemens, a whole new world of ideas in electronics and electrical engineering. Siemens, precision thinking. And by Canon, quality and innovation for the way we work and live. Canon.
Off the coast of California, there are some very special islands. They're havens for a multitude of living creatures, birds and mammals that move constantly between land and sea. These islands are home ground for one of the strangest animals on Earth, the northern elephant seal. Thousands of them gather on the beaches in vast, noisy crowds, seal heaped on seal like boulders washed ashore. They look helpless, primitive, even absurd, but they're precisely shaped for an extreme and testing environment. These pups are inheritors of an ancient transformation. Over millions of years, it turned the paw into a flipper. Designed an extravagant and incomprehensible nose. And perfected an alien eye that gazes into a hidden world. This mysterious metamorphosis happened long ago when the elephant seal left the land and adapted to life in the ocean. We humans, marooned in air, can only catch brief glimpses of that underwater world. But little by little, we're learning how the elephant seal lives in its primary element. It's an incredible story. Those huge eyes, the largest of all the seals, penetrate the shadows. Whiskers packed with nerve fibers help to guide them on their way. In shallow water, the streamlined body reveals its flexible grace. Where the seabed drops away into thousands of feet of water, elephant seals encounter the strange creatures of the deep ocean. Down here, they survive pressure that would crush a human instantly. Pressures of 100 atmospheres and more. Diving, surfacing, diving again within minutes, they hunt and eat without ceasing for months on end. As they dive, they travel, journeying immense distances from their coastal islands. But the land always calls them back. Every year, regular as clockwork, they return to their ancestral beaches, hauling up through the surf to the place where they were born. The tiny island of Año Nuevo off the coast of Central California was once an active Coast Guard station. Now it's part of a state reserve, a refuge for a marvelous diversity of life. California sea lions use the island as a resting place. At times, thousands of them gather along with their northern cousins, the larger Steller sea lion. Life pulses with the seasons here. Stellers come to breed in summer, harbor seals in spring. Migrating birds sweep through. Some, like the oyster catchers, stay year-round. But the most spectacular season starts in December with the arrival of the elephant seals. The bulls come in first, each one hauling its several tons back into the grip of gravity. They're here to achieve one goal, to mate. A week or two later, the females start to arrive after 7 solitary months at sea. Coming ashore is like entering a war zone. Bulls lie in ambush, hoping for an opportunity. The females aren't ready to mate. They're close to giving birth and very vulnerable. This female weighs almost 900 pounds. Within days, she'll deliver a pup on the beach where she was born. It's already crowded. Hundreds of pups will be born here during the next couple of months. 3 days later, she goes into labor. After several hours of contractions, she delivers a female pup. 80 pounds of helplessness, born into a dangerous world. The mother pushes the afterbirth away. That's what the gulls want, but they're not fussy. The eyes of a newborn seal would do as well. In this chaotic nursery, the first line of defense is to know where you belong. Mother and baby sniff and nuzzle each other, creating a bond. The next imperative is food. Elephant seal milk is rich, up to 60% fat. The pup must get as much of it as she can. Her survival depends on it. She'll quadruple her weight during the next month. But while she inflates, her mother withers away. Females neither eat nor drink while they nurse, drawing instead on precious supplies of stored fat. It looks peaceful, but in this crowded neighborhood, dangers loom everywhere. Disputes over space or pups mean a lot of weight is thrown around. The sand serves as a cushion and perhaps helps to keep things cool. But there's no protection from the biggest threat around. 2-ton males rampaging through the colony. The little female pup has no chance of escape when one of them appears out of nowhere. It was a close call. January's full moon is pulling the tide high up the beach, and at the same time, a storm is brewing out at sea. This conjunction of tide and storm can spell disaster for the seal colony. The pups can float, but they can't swim. They're helpless as the waves rise higher and higher. Other than calling out, the females can do little to protect their young. Some more experienced mothers put themselves between the waves and their pups. But it's usually not enough. In some years, thousands of pups perish in the winter storms that punish these beaches. This pup drowns before its mother's eyes. What the waves take, the waves return, rolling the dead up the beach to the waiting gulls. "12 hours later, the storm is moving on, but the tide sweeps back up the beach. Trapped on the rocks, the little female crouches behind her mother. Storm-battered and exhausted, she can't hang on. The waves slam her into the rocks far down the beach. Somehow, she manages to struggle ashore. But now she's far away from her mother. If she can't find a surrogate mother, she'll starve to death. It's a hostile world, filled with confused, angry animals. In the aftermath of the storm, distress calls fill the air. Sometimes they are answered. This female has lost her own pup. Sniffing and vocalizing, she decides to adopt the little female. She rolls into the nursing position, and the pup quickly latches on. Fostering is common among elephant seals. For orphaned pups like this one, it's the difference between life and death. Elephant seals have lived and died on these islands for a very long time. Their bones have been unearthed in refuse heaps dating back 10,000 years, the middens of the Chumash Indians who hunted seals for food. Less than 2 centuries ago, a different kind of hunter came along, in search not of food, but of oil. They were chasing the gray whale on its migration along the California coast. It was a dangerous business. Great whales can be aggressive under attack. So the whalers added elephant seals to the flensing pot. They're rich in oil, and if you're armed, they're easy to subdue. The slaughter lasted 40 years, and by 1870, the northern elephant seal was thought to be extinct. Museum expeditions went in search of them. Surprisingly, the museums of those days were more interested in obtaining stuffed specimens than in preserving the species. For almost half a century, no elephant seal was seen in American waters. But their story was not over. On the island of San Miguel, off the coast of Southern California, scientists Robert DeLong and Brent Stewart are studying the northern elephant seal's extraordinary recovery. A few animals started turning up on U.S. beaches in the 1930s. Today, their total population stands at 130,000. Every single one is descended from a tiny group of survivors, perhaps as few as 100. This means they have very little genetic variability. Scientists don't know whether this limits the animal's adaptability. Right now, the species seems to be thriving. Fully protected since the 30s, their population is still expanding rapidly. It's the most dramatic recovery ever recorded for a large mammal, from 100 to 130,000 in a century. On the beach at Año Nuevo, the seals are working hard to keep the population growing. It's late January, and some of the females are ready to mate. The bulls are fighting to get at them. This young hopeful is challenged by a dominant bull. After an exchange of threats, the younger one decides to try his luck elsewhere. The strongest bulls keep dozens, sometimes hundreds of females for themselves, but it takes incredible effort. Young males prowling the outskirts keep the colony in an uproar. They don't get to mate until they're at least 8 years old, if ever, but they're always trying. Only the toughest bulls pass on their genes. These giant warriors may be locked in battle for an hour, shoving and slashing at each other's blubbery chest shields. Fights break out constantly in overcrowded colonies. Eventually, some may leave to find new beaches. Life is less chaotic here in this small cove. The area is easier for the bull to defend. He's so confident that his females are secure, he goes off for a morning swim. Perhaps he's a little overconfident. This young male nearby spots an opportunity. As soon as the coast looks clear, he rushes in to seize his chance. But things don't quite pan out. Females seem to play a part in choosing or rejecting mates, and these marauding males threaten the safety of females and pups. Her alarm calls are pitched to alert the group's protector and bring him charging back to the beach. A threat gesture from the water's edge is all it takes. The young interloper doesn't wait around to argue. The size difference between the sexes is so extreme that females can be injured, even killed, instead of becoming pregnant. Everything about these animals is extreme. This bull may impregnate up to 200 females this year. This female has been pregnant almost all her life. The egg fertilized here a month after she gave birth will produce a pup 11 months from now. A month later, she'll be pregnant again. The uproar continues all night, every night, while the seals are ashore. Researcher John Sanders learns to live with a colony that's fighting, mating, and making a noise about it 24 hours a day. In the midst of the turmoil, the little pup and her foster mother catch a nap. Most mammals, including humans, have different activity patterns for day and for night, but not elephant seals. Life here carries on regardless, and the pups, caught in the chaos, face the same risks day and night. A charging bull delivers a fatal blow, a broken back to a helpless pup. It's been 3 full weeks since the little female was born, and she's beginning to explore her world. Around her, at the margins of the colony, young bulls lie in wait. They're in a state of intense sexual frustration, and they'll try to mount anything that comes their way. Many pups are injured from misdirected mating attempts, but this time she escapes unharmed. Not even elephant seals can live like this forever, and for some animals the time ashore is coming to an end. Elephant seals come and go to a strict timetable, and Professor Bernie LaBeouf is here with his associates from the University of California at Santa Cruz because of the predictability of these animals. After 4 weeks of nursing and 3 or 5 days in heat, the first wave of females is about to set out to sea. The scientists want to send something with them. Under a bull's suspicious glare, the team tranquilizes one of the females. Until recently, no one knew where elephant seals went when they left the land. They just disappeared into the vast Pacific Ocean. Now, there's a way to travel with them. But research on a breeding beach has its problems. Spotting the tranquilized female, a bull dashes in to seize the moment. It takes 3 humans and a lot of canvas to win the argument and get back to work. An instrument called a time depth recorder is being glued to the seal's back. During months at sea, it will log the animal's dives and track it through the ocean by recording water temperatures and light levels. When the seal returns, the scientists will retrieve the stored data.
The number should be 7M.
Fat pups, thin mothers. At 300 pounds, the little female weighs 4 times what she did at birth. But her foster mother has lost close to half her body weight. The females must now go out to sea to replenish their fat supplies. Eating continuously for more than 2 months, they will put on an average of 2 pounds a day. This may be a young male's best chance, waylaying the females on their way out. Left on the beach, the young female watches her foster mother run a dangerous gauntlet. In her weakened state, her mother may be injured or even killed. From mid-January through April, thousands of females set out to sea, lean, hungry, and pregnant again. What they do out there is very hard to believe. For 70 days, they dive virtually non-stop to depths of 4,000 feet or more. Up and down, 3 dives an hour, every hour, around the clock. That's the story the time depth recorder has told us. The story of these magnificent diving machines. On the beach, weaning triggers massive changes in the pups. This little tub of lard is busy turning into an aquatic hunter. At first, they sleep and hold their breath for a few minutes at a time, preparing to be divers long before they ever enter the sea. When one nostril opens, breathing starts again. The pups huddle together in groups called weaner pods, perhaps for protection from the bulls still hanging around the beach. For several weeks, they sleep and grow, and their black baby fur changes to silver. They can't eat until they can go to sea, and right now, they can't even swim. Three weeks after weaning, the young female approaches the water. She's curious, but she's also apprehensive, and at first, she just wets her belly. But within a week, she's swimming well in shallow water. She won't leave the protection of these pools until she's good and ready. For weeks, she plays and fights and holds her breath in the water. Exploring this new element, her second world, she's released into an exhilarating new freedom of movement. There's so much to learn: how to recognize friends and enemies, how to take evasive action. Her survival depends on these crucial skills. Moving easily now between air and water, the young female even sleeps below the surface, using oxygen stored in her blood. Soon she'll sleep thousands of feet deep in the ocean, drifting in dark water, safe from predators above. In late April, spring comes to Año Nuevo, and with it, a crowd of visitors. Thousands of California sea lions ride in on the waves, males in prime condition migrating along the California coast. Pity the poor bull lying like driftwood on the beach. He's a shadow of his former self, worn out by 3 months of fighting and mating on an empty stomach. One by one, the bulls set out to sea. For months on end, they'll dive and eat and restore their former glory. Some traveling thousands of miles from Año Nuevo. On beaches reclaimed by California sea lions, the young elephant seal finds herself surrounded. Everywhere she looks in this changing neighborhood, there's something happening. Sea lions square off at the water's edge and jostle each other in the nursery pools. Stellar sea lions have arrived too. This is their southernmost breeding colony. The world unfolds before the little female's eyes, and it's an amazing sight. Spring brings an explosion of life and energy and calls the sea lions here to play in the lush beds of seaweed. The season also brings another wave of elephant seals to Año Nuevo's crowded beaches. Females are returning to molt. After 2 months at sea, they're back on the beach where they gave birth. But they're not looking for their pups. If they meet, they won't even recognize each other. That fragile bond is broken. Most seals shed their fur gradually over the year. Elephant seals shed their entire skin within a 4-week period. They fast while they do it, lying in a kind of stupor for up to a month. On the island of San Miguel, Bob DeLong and Brent Stewart have been waiting for the return of the females. Now they're picking up radio signals from a time-depth recorder they sent out months ago. They move in carefully to recover it. The identifying letters were made with hair dye. They'll come off with the skin during molt. The animal has been sedated, but the wooden shield is an extra precaution. Severe bites like this have taught Bob DeLong never to underestimate an elephant seal. The instrument is encrusted with salt from 70 days at sea, but it's intact with its vast store of information.
About 820 liters.
There's a small government laboratory on San Miguel where the scientists can start to analyze the data immediately.
This is the female, from the female we recovered today. She's been at sea now for about 7.5 months. So why don't you open it up and take a look at see if we can get the data off of it.
This research is in its infancy. It took several years to develop this sturdy microprocessor. But since 1989, it's been going down with the elephant seal into the depths of the ocean and bringing back a record of the journey. That record is printing out now, a history of hundreds of miles of sea travel and more than 4,000 dives.
Very much deeper during the day.
The time depth recorder is giving us a picture of the elephant seals at sea. It lets us glimpse the life that's just beginning for the young elephant seal as she leaves the safety of the nursery pools and sets off into the Pacific Ocean. In 3 short months, she's become a totally aquatic animal. Within weeks, she'll be diving 1,000 feet or more below the surface. She's been living on stored fat since weaning. Now she has to find out what food is and how to catch it. Everything is new to her in this world of floating shadows, but somehow she knows where to go, pushing out to deeper water. Where the seabed drops sharply away, currents bring nutrients up from the deeper layers of the ocean. Intense blooms of plankton occur here, food for the multitude of creatures that depends on these upwelling currents along the California coast. Many hunters gather here, and some, like the shark, may be looking for the seal. Hundreds of elephant seals die every year from shark attacks. Gray whales pass on their spring migration to the rich feeding grounds of the Arctic. Great schools of fish drift by, browsing on smaller fish and crustaceans, which in their turn are browsing on the smaller plankton. The diving seal sees creature after creature, feeding and becoming food. Bright lights piercing the water draw her attention upward. Swimming up beneath a feeding petrel, she surfaces for just a moment. Another hunter has arrived, a commercial squid boat that's using lights to attract its prey. The squid rise in dense clouds. The young seal dives again, in company with sea lions drawn to this rich banquet. Over the next few weeks, the elephant seal will dive deeper and deeper, following the dense concentration of living organisms known as the deep scattering layer. These organisms rise and fall in the ocean, ascending toward the surface by night and sinking thousands of feet deep by day. The young seal will spend most of her life down here in the dark, hunting, drifting, even sleeping, safe from the predators that lurk above. It's August, and the waters around the island of San Miguel are seething with male elephant seals. It was their turn to molt, and some of them are almost ready to go back to sea. The biologists locate their research subject. This young male will carry a time depth recorder for the second time. Approaching a group of male elephant seals takes know-how and a bit of courage. They're relatively lethargic from the molt, but there's still a lot of bumping about. The subject gets tranquilized. When everyone's quite sure he's sedated, the team moves in to glue on the instrument. They tracked this animal last year when he finished molting. He went all the way to Alaska and came all the way back here to breed. Now they want to know whether he'll make the journey again.
So this animal that we did this morning is the animal that we did a year ago.
In fall. We had a record for him in fall.
Yeah, through the winter time. And so we'll be getting the same kind of track. And last year, he left San Miguel here and then started north on this track, went up across the Gulf of Alaska. So this will be our opportunity to get a second track for him for the second part of the year to see whether he returns to that same forage.
What they discovered was totally unexpected. Male elephant seals make the journey to Alaska and back twice every year. It's a double migration, unmatched by any large mammal. The bull is carrying a radio transmitter as well as the time depth recorder on his back. This enables the biologist to track him for a short distance as he sets out on his voyage.
Males are going all the way to the Aleutian Islands, and females are only going up to 40 to 45 degrees north, and then heading west out on that boundary current, and spending all of their foraging efforts out on that boundary current at 40 to 45 degrees north.
Elephant seals spend so much time underwater that radio contact is limited. When the bull comes back 4 months from now, he'll have traveled 5,000 or 6,000 miles. After spending time on the breeding beach, he'll turn around and set out all over again. It's a lifetime of long-distance traveling. When they vanish into the wide ocean, this is one of the places they're headed for, the Aleutian Islands, off the coast of Alaska. What draws them back here over and over again? What makes this solitary odyssey worthwhile? Maybe it's the same thing that draws the great whales north and countless other creatures, the promise of food in spectacular abundance. The rich pastures of the North Pacific, an extraordinary outburst of life. And it's one of the fastest growing commercial fisheries on Earth. Billions of pounds of fish are now hauled out of the North Pacific every year, and other species feeding here are losing out. Already there are warning signs. The numbers of seabirds and stellar sea lions are rapidly dwindling. They depend on the same fish the commercial fishermen are after, pollock. Like elephant seals, stellar sea lions are protected on their hauling grounds and breeding beaches. But even so, in the past 5 years, their population here has dropped by more than 60%. This dramatic decline is still a mystery. It could be due to natural causes, but if it's the consequence of overfishing, the stellars won't be the only victims. Declining food supplies will affect the future of dozens of species high on the food chain, including thousands of elephant seals with enormous appetites. It's late in the year, a peaceful autumn day at Año Nuevo State Reserve. A good time to come ashore. And that's what our young elephant seal is doing, hauling up on the beach after a successful season at sea. It could not have been easy. This yearling seal was mortally wounded by a white shark. Many others perished at sea. But elephant seals have been coming home against the odds for thousands of years. Their future now depends to a large extent on us. As their numbers grow, they're turning up on more and more beaches, recolonizing all their original areas. People come to get acquainted.
And what do the mothers do? What do the mother seals when they come up here do? What do they do?
Have babies.
They have their babies. So we provide a very safe place for the elephant seals to have their babies. What would happen if there weren't special? There's a big one over there.
There's two. That might be four.
Children and young seals gaze across at each other, new generations starting out on a new relationship. Last time round, the seals were killed, but their deep oceanic habitat remained intact. That's what's made their spectacular recovery possible. After so nearly losing them, it's an amazing thing to have a second chance. These are the great survivors, back from the brink of extinction, playing in the water once again. But they can't do it without the world that shaped them. They need room on the beaches, food in the water, their place on Earth. They need us to keep that world intact. And we need them to remind us of the endless possibilities of life.
Nature is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by viewers like you. Siemens, a whole new world of ideas in electronics and electrical engineering. Siemens, precision thinking. And by Canon, quality and innovation for the way we work and live. Canon. And by the gas industry, helping provide cleaner air with clean gas energy.
This is PBS.